try to get all of that sorted.
Yeah, I mean, you say the Delta and Mike thing, and we kind of, you know, joke about them even though they make us like mad
Cringe.
to our core.
Yeah. Everybody mad, I think.
But yeah, exactly. We get as you know, I mean, if you've been watching the stream, you know I've been delted as much as any other guy, right? It's a thing. But whenever that happens, and you know, glass half full, whenever that happens, that will get that thing that happened
is captured
by us, and we can make sure that we get enough data to collect and make adjustments as necessary.
Programmers. But yeah, the first week of PTS has been very helpful for us. I know it can be frustrating for players to be playing with unbalanced or newly introduced or broken gear, but for us it's still valuable.
No, yeah, I wanted to say that, as you said, that this build was very similar to what the ETF actually played, and as Frederick said, we didn't have much time to change anything. So yeah, the good thing is that the ETF did warn us and did find out all these things with the Valkyria and all of that. It's just, we have the changes that are ready already for the next build of the PTS. So that's all.
So I mean, the biggest things that were meta-definingly broken in the first week would be the Valkyria. The Hungry Hog was broken. It had a ×2 rather than a ×0.2 multiplier on it. So you know.
And some other things.
Maths.
Why don't we go through those one by one? Because I wrote down the big three broken things. Valkyria, the Hungry Hog, and the other thing I wrote it down, a SEEKR, obviously.
The SEEKR gear set,
so let's start with Valkyria. For people who don't know, I guess we should start at the start, if people haven't been on the PTS, because we have a lot of console players who may not be following streams and all that.
Yeah, so the Valkyria is a set of 2 submachine guns. One that was previously the Valkyria, and a new one which is of the same type. And if you switch back and forth between them, is the intent, you build up a buff on one that can be used by the other. But that's not what was happening. Some glitch made it so that the first one could use the buff it was building and keep building it forever. So it cost a decent amount of damage. Well, first of all, they're going to be named Hilder and Ayer.
So correctly named.
Correctly named. Yes. One of them is gold and one is silver. And the Hilder builds up a buff for critical strike damage that the Ayer can use.
Okay.
And while you're using it with the Ayer, it will be dropping. Yeah. Now, but the next thing was the Hungry Hog. The Hungry Hog had a math error.
So it was 2%.
It was 200% instead of 20%.
Oh yeah,
So what it's going to be, though, it's going to be a 10% per stack, and it's going to stack a max of 5 times. Is what we're going to try out for the next phase of the PTS, which should be a little bit more reasonable.
So it should still work with Meticulous, but therefore you're going to build up to 50% damage increase.
Yeah, that's the
intent. Then you would keep it, especially if you use Meticulous, you could keep it as long as you can shoot. So
I mean, I really like the idea of a Hungry Hog being an awesome PvE weapon. I mean, obviously this
throughput type of weapon.
This isn't going to be the kind of thing that. I mean, I'm sure someone will find a way to use it in PvP, but it's not the kind of thing that is PvP focused.
No.
I think it's really cool. Yeah. The last one, the SEEKR gear set. Because I alluded to this morning on the stream, I said the SEEKR gear set in the next iteration will not be as you know the SEEKR gear set right now. You can basically...
So there's a couple of things that happen. So first of all, the impression that the set gives is that it's about spamming shots to the body with reckless abandon. And while it can be used more cleverly than that, because you can use the crit for a crit headshot, etc., that's not what we were seeing.
No, and it's,
and also the crits are a powerful way to proc things like the Caduceus and other things like that, self-preserved, whatever. So we're going to go a different way with it. We're gonna have it so that after 2 shots to the body, you're going to get a 200% headshot multiplier for your next headshot.
Yes.
So you actually have to use some precision to cash that in.
Yes,
and the 2 and 3 piece are also changed.
Yes, so you don't get, as the 2 piece, you won't have the 10% body damage, because that's...
So there's going to be a utility stat there. We're going to try with some of the new stat, resist all for it.
Yeah. Okay. In the 3 piece?
And the 3 piece is where the body shot damage ends up.
At 5% though?
At 5%.
We're going to try 5%.
We're going to try 5%. Yeah. Burst fire weapons would be made for it. If you put it center mass and then let it climb up to the head, you're going to You're going to do pop, pop,
Right.
pop, body,
That could
body,
be
head.
cool.
No, we could talk
Okay.
about the MDR. It's a weapon, right? Why not?
I don't know what I'm doing here anyway. So
Well, the thing
it's
is,
like
you're so out of practice, Yannick, that you just sit there and look beardy, and it's fine.
okay, that's it.
But
Just here for the looks.
Can I say it?
Yeah.
The MDR is getting a 65% base damage increase.
So
Feel good about it.
So it's going to be decently close to some of the lower end marksman rifles, like the SVD, in terms of power. In this patch, generally people are going to be under status effect for shorter amounts of time, which means that part of the MDR buff is the distracted talent also gets an increase. So it's going to actually be a better talent on it as well.
Cool.
And the one thing we've done to the historian is that it had a really annoying explosion sound, and that's been fixed.
Somebody was asking about the showstopper.
Yeah, we're going to increase the showstopper some as well.
Yeah.
It's been underperforming.
Base damage wise or talent wise?
Base damage wise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talent doesn't go much anywhere further because it already goes to sort of pinpoint accuracy. So base damage.
Yeah.
The change that we made to the armor bonus, turning it into health, is just the first step of the results of that workshop and what we do. So what we're going to do now is, first of all, we're going to hand out free base health to everyone.
Yeah.
I think it's tier 5. It's somewhere around the 80,000 health region that's going to be just given to you for free for just existing.
So people don't have that in
No.
PTS
No.
1?
So right now everything comes from your stamina on your gear. You're still going to have the stamina on your gear.
Okay.
But that allows us to take some of that health that we added for free, take that away from the major bonuses and the stamina, so that those bonuses aren't so valuable that you can't pick anything else for them.
Yeah.
So that should allow us to keep people at high survivability, or the survivability that we were targeting, while allowing them to pick some other stats. So to that effect, we've also gone through and house cleaned a little bit in the stats of gear. So we made sure that there's some lesser used stats we've thrown away on new gear. Some stats that we felt weren't readily available, such as crit chance for all the SMG builders, are now available on more pieces of gear. Holsters can now roll, instead of pistol damage, they can actually roll a very sizable chunk of reload speed.
That's cool.
And you can even find a pretty large amount of stability on one of the pieces if you're struggling in that area.
Okay.
So overall, the goal is to try to make a meta where you are a little bit more free to pick what your build is, and that there's something for every type of build on every piece, so that there's something for firearms shooter people, there's something for skill users, there's something for tanky users on every piece that rolls as a major bonus.
One of the ones that I found interesting in that discussion in the workshop was the whole damage to elites thing.
Right. So damage to elites, especially moving into the era of legendary mode, is a more niche stat than armor damage, because both veterans and elites have armor, and so do players, whereas damage to elites is a niche stat. So we're swapping those around, and where you would have found damage to elites, there's now enemy armor damage as a major, whereas damage to elites becomes a minor, because that's their relationship. One is a major stat that applies to many things. One is a niche stat that applies to fewer things.
Hipfire.
Yeah.
So where are we at with Hipfire?
So we did a first little thing on the first PTS where we did a different camera for it to sort of take away that overview that you have when you're stuck in your, when you retain your normal camera. There's a couple of ways we could go with Hipfire. Obviously, Hipfire should function in the game. It's a part of the game, but it should be a panic reaction that's not very effective. For the next PTS, we're going to go with adjusting spread and recoil quite aggressively when you're hip firing. If that turns out to not feel good or not be right, then we can try other things.
One of the big things that obviously we announced like last week in your great state of the game,
Thank you.
where you had so many viewers because I was not in.
Yeah, you should just leave now. See what happens.
Well,
You shouldn't leave.
the last end game mode.
Yes.
So this is something that we definitely want to try on the PTS, obviously. So this is going to be made available with the next PTS, and coming with the last end game mode is also something that we really want to try and really need to test on a PTS, it's going to be normalization.
Yay!
So the idea of normalization is, and I've seen some people asking in the chat about it, the idea is to, or maybe you want to talk about it.
You go. You're on the roll.
To be fair, it is a Redstorm thing, so we might proviso.
Yeah.
We might
I don't want to misrepresent.
We might get something wrong, but we'll try our best.
So Redstorm folks, I hope we'll do
they
this
might
right.
be watching.
But no, the idea with normalization is just to, how do we kind of try to limit the impact of min-maxing your gear and all of that in the PvP of Last Stand. So the idea with normalization is, first, it's something that only applies to Last Stand. It does not apply to the Dark Zone. And when you go in Last Stand, we are basically going to work some magic with the stats that you have on your character based on your gear and all of that to make sure to limit the impact of randomness on your gear, basically. So all your gear first is going to be maxed to gear score 256. So that's it. You can go there with gear 163. It's going to become a 256. That's the first part. This is just temporary, okay? Keep that in mind when you leave Last Stand, when you're back with your normal gear. So 256. For the gear pieces, basically all the main attributes, firearms, stamina, and electronics, are going to be maxed out to the maximum roll possible. Then the next thing that happens is, again on gear pieces, some of the bonuses are actually going to be uniformly scaled. So this is the weapon type damage, so it's all the pistol damage, SMG damage, and all of that, the skill power, and the health. These are going to be uniformly scaled, which means that they're all going to be brought to the same value, to a uniform value.
Great.
Then all the other bonuses, though, these remain the same. They are not changed. Okay. So they will have different values depending on the player and depending on your gear. That's for the gear pieces. Then for the weapons, so the same. They're brought to gear score 256. The talents are going to unlock based on the attributes that have been normalized on your gear.
So your maxed roll stuff.
So the maxed roll stuff. So normally it should be easier for you to unlock talents, but that depends what kind of stats you specialized in. Then the mods will act as normal, and all the other stats are also unchanged. So the RPM, the reload speed, and all these kind of things will be unchanged. The armor mitigation value is going to be set at the same value for everyone. So everybody has the same armor mitigation, so there is no min-maxing your armor.
Maxed rolled armor.
Yeah, maxed rolled armor, basically. And then all the things that player talent, the gear set bonuses, weapon set bonuses, all these kind of things, they apply normally.
Yeah, the ones that create the personality and rotation of your build.
Yeah. Skill power, a few changes to skill power. Do you want to fill in for Mathieu?
I'm not, I wouldn't want to fill in for Mathieu, but the main thing is that this changes to skill power in the PTS were vast, and we knew we were going to have to make adjustments, so adjustments are coming, specifically to make sure that haste and skill power can be picked for various different reasons.
Yeah, it's. I think it's not a complete change compared to what we did in PTS 1. It's just more of an adjustment and a tweak. The end result, also we're said by Mathieu, who worked on it, is that first, the idea is to make sure that skill haste is valuable. So the impact of skill power on cooldowns is going to be limited. What that means is that when you have low skill power, you will actually have higher cooldowns than you have right now because you will be less reliant on your skill power. And when you have high skill power, if you only use your skill power, your cooldowns are going to be a bit longer compared to what you have now.
So Reclaimer right now is very, very powerful. And it's cool that
because
we have...
the heal station is powerful.
Yes, it's cool that we have a support build that is looking like it's really going to work in 1.6. But it did feel at times, especially during my run through today, that you're down and up all the time. So what are we changing with the support station? I mean,
so obviously the skill power changes themselves. The adjustments that Mathieu have made will affect how effective it is and stuff like that. And we've made some adjustments to the heal speed of it, to the range of it, and to the revive timer. Because one of the cheesier aspects of it this week, if you permit me that word, is that people were chain reviving through things that should have wiped them. Because the revive timer is so short on it.
2 seconds?
Yeah, so that's going to be longer.
But there's something else also to Legendary. I mean, it's not just Legendary.
It's not just Legendary. It's everywhere. People are not wrong. on this point.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because you said Legendary was a bit too easy, but there was something that made it harder and that made the whole game harder. And you guys spotted it a while ago, and we finally can tell you you were right. There was indeed something wrong with NPC aiming.
You were right most of the time, some of the time.
Yeah.
Because it's not a global thing, right? So this is my understanding of it. The NPC accuracy was...
There were cases.
There were cases where it was 100% accuracy during certain animations, right?
Yeah, and they would hit every shot.
Yeah. So that's
and that wasn't in every case, so it was hard to figure out, but Drew and his crew found it eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so I see people.
And so that's we talk about that in the context of Legendary, because this is something that a lot of people have been complaining with the difficulty of Legendary, was that not the damage that the NPCs deal, but their actual accuracy. That as soon as you pop your head out, they're just going to one-shot you.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that has been fixed, and there are some changes and tweaks that have been done there. So with Legendary, it's like there's a mix of changes that could make it harder and other changes that are going to make it easier. So it's just going to feel a bit different the way we approach it. But the thing that's important with Legendary, I think, is to keep in mind that it's not really meant for everyone, or it's not meant to be completed by everyone. It's really meant to be for the players that are min-max, that are optimized and all that.
It's a way to test your builds and to push yourself and to give yourself a challenge.
I think I understand why some people might find that a bit confronting. It's something, if you remember back to some of the streams we did around 1.4, to be fair, we had Drew on and we were like, we've got those new world tiers and these sorts of things. Yeah. And we admitted that, there's not really an in-game challenge for our most hardcore players. Yeah. This is what I think this is. One of the questions I'm seeing a lot is, it's one of the ones we haven't talked about, Deadeye. Is that one of the ones that we might look at?
We might do... I want to do the thing that most people are looking at, which is to think about when it's active, when it's shoulder, when it's zoomed, etc. That might be something we get to during this PTS process. I've had to prioritize other things before this, but I mean, we're aware that it's that it's clunky to use right now. So we'll see if we get to it. Yeah. So a lot of people, when we ask for feedback on Banshee, because obviously for those that aren't keeping up or haven't read, the Dark Zone now does not punish non-rogue players with the loss of XP or currency globally. That's just the change to the rules of the Dark Zone. They will still drop items. That's sort of the key to have
mechanics,
rogues to steal items and stuff like that. But they won't drop those things. And that was the bonus of the non-rogue part of the Banshee set. So instead, we figured we'd try to go with the sort of rogue hunter angle. And so the additional bonus, except for the global 10% bonus to rogues, is that if a rogue kills you, you're going to get another boost to damage against rogues for 10 minutes after you revive.
So to get that revenge.
To get that revenge. So you have a while to go and crack some heads.
Yeah. Why no real answer about double XP weekend? No, that's something we want to do, definitely. It's not that there is no real answer. It's something we want to do. We just don't have a date yet. On
I mentioned that again. It's one of those things that there just hasn't really been a good time for, especially with some of the gear score increases and the other stuff. Anyway.
But yeah, about the body shot damage. So this is something to keep in mind. Again, this is a PTS. This is a thing we're trying on the PTS. We want to try it with Last Stand, so we will keep it for the next PTS with Last Stand to see how that goes. But this is something that is totally up in the air if we will keep it or not, if we will tweak it, how it's going to work. So
it's sort of part of that dream of making sure that you dare to engage and shoot people at longer distances where you might not be sure to get a headshot, and make sure that you're deadly at longer distances. That's sort of the basis of why we want to try it. The notion seems fairly unpopular right now. Let's be honest. But we want to definitely, but we definitely want to go through playing Last Stand with it on before we give up on the notion.
Stash size? No, we are not increasing stash size right now.
We can't do that for every state of the game. No. I know that we broke some sort of chat scroll speed record when that happened. But
there was a mic drop there. Stash size.
Midas. There is a Midas.
We're still working on it. I'm not actually sure what's going to get in for the next PTS, but it's being worked on. We're probably switching out from the heal debuff that it's currently giving to something else.
Okay, apparently we refuse to comment on loadouts, so yes, we can say loadouts is cool, that's something we want to do, that's just not something that we can do for 1.6, but that still is a cool idea, and that's something we want to add to the game.
Now I don't know what to do. What do we usually do at this time?
Awkward Hamish.
Sign off.
Usually I wave.